So, hello, hello everybody. Welcome to the second session of Semia Salong. Today we have two really special guests that will give to us will present to us the really special research. So, the first part of this Semia Salong will be with Beatriz Alves. She's an motion designer, audiovisual producer, and edu communicator. Holding a technical degree in audio and video production, Beatriz is currently completing an undergraduate program in edu communication at the University of São Paulo. As part of one Erasmus Semiotic Institute at Palatine University, her academic trajectory includes participation in an extension and research projects focused on science communication and popular education, integrating interests in educommunication, media studies, and audiovisual productions. Her work breeds technology, art, and education, emphasizing innovative visual communication and interdisciplinarity. So today the research that she will present will be generative AI and the semiotic recording of Afro-Brazilian cinema. Welcome, Beatriz.
Hello, thank you, Anna, and hello, everybody. Good evening or good afternoon if you are in Brazil. First of all, I'd like to thank you, Anna, to be here with me. It's such an adventure to organize this series along with you and to be able to present my ideas and collaborate with my Brazilian colleagues in the field of semiotics. And I'm really happy to be here in the beautiful place, like in Alamo, Palatine University, to be present to you here in the room, in the ISI library. And I also like to special thanks to my professors, Vinicius Romanini from Brazil and Professor Ludmila Bennett from here. They made this possible. They opened this field to present this presentation that I'm going to talk about with you. And they made possibly to share this space with my colleagues in Brazil. And for you are here in Czech Republic, I also want to like to comment that today in Brazil is the Black Hours Day. It's a day that is a holiday in my city in São Paulo. And it's a day you have in Brazil to think about the Black people contributions to Brazilian culture, their reasons, their fights, and their contributions to our society in Brazil. So it's special to me to be here talking about Black cinema in such a special day. And thank you all to be here, hearing me and my colleague Julia Neres in the next presentation. So let's begin. I'm gonna share. Wait a second. Oh, I will have to be out of the room and go back. Wait a second. I'm back again. Okay, so for that, now let's begin the presentation. My presentation today is about generative AI and the semiotic recording of Afro-Brazilian cinema. Uh, this presentation is part of my final research, my course in the communication is a work in progress that I collecting some pieces from the last year. So it's a moment like to open the conversation to you all and to reflect about this eminence of generative AI in the creative process and what this mean and what this mean when you put in the context of Afro-Brazilian semiotics in cinema. So I will pass for some topics. At the beginning, let's understand what is Afro-Brazilian cinema and what is the semiotic behind this. And then I would like to show uh, some ideas about creative activity and cognitive process, because for me, AI is artificial intelligence, and so we can call as a cognitive process as ours, like ours are human beings, make process to understand and to live through the world. And I think AI do similar to us. So with this idea in mind, how AI could recodifying Afro-Brazilian cinema through algorithmic cinema. I will defend idea that I have that we have a wave of algorithmic cinema in the future, and also I think it's starting right now. So let's go, and at the end, let's see what potential paths we can be taken with this stuff. So at the beginning, as today's Black Brazilian is Black Awareness Day in Brazil, let's see a little bit of Brazil history. So to introduce to my colleagues in Czech Republic, first we have to go back at the colonial period in Brazil. Brazil was colonized by Portugal around the years of 2050. At the beginning, it was extractive economy. They colonized Brazil to plantation and to extract this plantation to go back to Europe. And it was in a way that was functioned by a racial hierarchy as a foundation. So the colonizers, the white people from Portugal, colonizing Brazil, and the people that are already living in here, the indigenous people. And uh, after that, black people too. And how black people was come to Brazil was a period of slavery. Brazil has had 388 years of slavery. It was in America in this colony period, the longest slavery period of the world in this period. And it was a kidnapping of African people. Around 5.5 million of African people was kidnapping from Africa and bring to Brazil. And because of this hard system of slavery and long period, had a lot of consistent black resistance and cultural creation. So black people was consistent fight against the system during this period. And because of that, we have a lot of African culture that was preserved and reshaped. A lot of African culture was bring together with these people and reshaped to the reality of Brazil in this context. So we have something like capoeira was a martial dance that was created for these people to practice fight and pretend they are dancing. I'd like to also mention the quilombos. Quilombos were a center of resistance during this period of black people run and group unite together to make a resistance, and they shape a little autonomy culture and a shared culture was we call in Brazil aquilombamento, this process of reunite resistance and to make a statement about our bodies, our presence in society. So I think this is really important to talk about. And all of this is the foundations of the Brazil culture. And I also would like to say that Brazil has the largest black diaspora in the world, is the country outside Africa of the most black people in the world. And the majority of population are Afro descendants. More than half of population are black in Brazil, and black in Brazil is composed of we call pretos e pardos. Pretos I can translate for black, and pardos is like more light skin. It's like a division in dark and light skin, but all of these people together are black people in Brazil. And also, I'd like to point that this colonial history has a big mark in our history, because also Brazil was the last country in the Americas to abolish slavery. It lasted in Americas until 1888. And so, if you could put this in a big picture in the world history, the freedom of black people are recent, and this because of this recent freedom, we abolished the slavery, but the recent is still in deeps of our society. So it has a lot of structural racism, and this all this history has a deep impact and persists in of a colonial mindset. So because of this, we have this colonial mindset, these deep social inequalities. So black people in Brazil don't have the same opportunity as white people in Brazil, and this creates a white-centered colonial mentality. And because of this, I want to share this because I think this is really important to understand the construction of Black cinema. So let's start to talk about semiotic of Afro-Brazilian cinema and what is Black cinema. And to talk about this, I use this book, A Semiótica do Cinema Negro Brasileiro e o Ensino de História. A free translation could be The Semiotic of Black Cinema, Black Brazilian Cinema and the Teaching of History by Antônio Barros de Aguiar. It's a recent book. It's from this year and it's really amazing to summarize all this Black history about cinema in Brazil. And let's see what is the early roots of Black cinema. As you know, cinema is a Occidental art, so it's majority in the beginning white century art, like only white and Occidental people are producing cinema. But the early roots of Black cinema, indeed, this idea coming in the African diaspora. I don't know if you know what is African diaspora. I was saying this term. I don't know. Do you know what's diaspora? I'm gonna explain for people that is not here. Diaspora is when we have a huge concentration of culture, of a population from a specific culture to another. And this happens all the time through the history. And because we have this colonial period with a lot of diaspora from Africa to slavery colonials. So Black cinema has these roots in this Africa diaspora and the representation of this. In the United States, you have the filmmaker Oscar Michels, and he laid the early foundations of Black cinema. He made the first productions of Black cinema in the United States. And while this in Africa, we also have Osama Sempene and Pauline Soumanu Vieira. I'm sorry for my pronunciation if I do a mistake. And these two characters in Africa was the first shaped the first forms of modern African cinema. And how this begins in Brazil. So Brazil, the history of Brazilian cinema is so specific, so I will concentrate about Black Brazilian cinema. And for it be easier to me to pronunciation, I will say Black cinema instead of Afro-Brazilian cinema because it's, for me it's the same in this context. So you have first in the beginning the chanchadas. Chanchadas, it was a cinema movement in Brazil in the 30s and 60s, when the productions were centered in musical comedian with name humor and mixes elements of carnival, samba, and Hollywood films. It was a lot of comedy uh, movies with a lot of hard comedy, a lot of visual comedy, and a lot of sexuality too in the movies. And in this period, black actors and actors were always in signet roles. In this time, the cinema in Brazil was most concentrated in the white hands, and it was a lot of Hollywood influence. So it was a lot of reproduction of stereotypes, reproductions of black people in cinema. And besides, we have black people, black actors in these roles. Was a difficult moment, but we have two names that was important in this period. We have I bring here in this image two two movies made by black people in this period. And the right one was one of the first uh, productions made by a black uh, cinematographer in Brazil. And this is Estou Aí. I can translate, I think, like I'm here, like a question, by Cajado Filho. And we have Um Desconhecido Bate a Porta by Haroldo Costa. Uh, I can translate a no person knocks my door. Uh, and in the yeah, this was some of the first films directed by a black man in Brazil. And I have to mention the Teatro Experimental do Negro. I can free translate it for like the experimental theater of the black experimental theater, I guess. It was a company founded by Abdias do Nascimento, this black actor, and he found this free course for only black actors in Brazil, and they made a lot of plays, important plays, and they form a lot of important black actors. One of them actors was Ruth de Souza, she's a huge character from Brazil, and she was part of this Teatro Experimental do Negro. And we can also, and this Teatro Experimental do Negro helps to formation the black consciousness in cinema and art to make black people be protagonists of what they are talking about, of their own history. They was able to practice the art together and to make their own story and to reshape this colonizing visualization of black people in Brazil. And I also to like in the same period we have Grande Otelo. It was also an actor, and he plays an essential role because he was an actor, but he after started production movies, and his authorial present and his mise en scene open a lot of doors for black audiovisual expression. And I say all of this because for me, and I guess for a lot of people, Black cinema in Brazil comes through this autobiography experience of Black actors and filmmakers. They start to make autobiography history about themselves and about what they are going through. And this is part of a broader decolonial process that constructs political identities rather than reproduce the partial recognition typical of white cinema. What I mean when I say that, because at this point, cinema was all white, and black people are only reproducing as stereotypical character, as the lazy one, the hot one, this type of stereotype that black people are put in cinema only for make some laughs and not to think about this colonized process, binomial process. So the Teatro Experimental do Negro movement emphasized this recovering of African culture values and have affirmed its place in the anti-racist study for Black society visibility. So it was really important these people, these great actors to unite and think about where they come from and what they are in Brazil. And after that, here is when people start to say that the black cinema begins in Brazil. In Cinema Novo, I can free translate for free cinema, is a purity of Brazilian cinema when a lot of cinematographers start to think critically about what they are producing in cinema. And in this time, a lot of black actors like Antonio Pitanga and Zózimo Bubu were able to establish themselves and later become filmmakers. And Zózimo Bubu is this man in the picture. He's so important for history of cinema in Brazil, specifically for black cinema in Brazil, because he gave cinematic forms to experiments of the black diaspora, and he made films about this sensation of diaspora, of being taken from the place, of not being part of the society, of the specificities of black bodies in society. And if you was there for the other presentations of my colleagues, Ana Julia and Eduardo Prachedes, they talk a lot of the semiotic of the black body in Brazil and what represents to be a black body in Brazil. And you can go check the presentation to understand more this. But I say this because Zosimil made a lot of representations of this feeling of what it means to be black in Brazil. And he also creates the Encontros de Cinema Negro Brasil, África e Caribe. I think I can say it's a conference of Black Brazilian, not only Brazilian, of Black cinema in general. It's a point of encounter between Africa, Caribbean. How can I say Caribbean? Caribbean. Sorry, Caribbean and Brazil to share the cinema production and happens until now. Uh, and that's it. This is a place that Zosimo creates to learn more about film language, technique, and aesthetic, while in build this narrative governing Black story and ancestry. So this is like a summary of what is Black cinema. And for me, Black cinema is a collective and not individualistic. The difference between the white cinema and the Black cinema, and that in Black cinema we fight against this binomial relation between the representation. So what I say, like Black cinema is a decolonial process because this have these autobiographical foundations, has a lot of political identity building. The people producing this cinema are politically thinking about their presence in society, and this is a contrast with white cinema partial recognition, because in white cinema we can only be one thing. I can only be a stereotype body in this representation. I can only be sexualizing. I can only be poor. I can only be violent. This is our stigma that Eduardo Prochets taught to you in the last lecture, also Anna, with this semiotic iconography between the black bodies and the representative. So black cinema is a collective identity. It's not individual and not binary. We have to pay attention, and as black producers, when you made cinema, because we can't have one perspective. Is a lot of individuality in Black society. Black people are not all the same, and you can't make cinema only this narrative of one history. This is what colonial thought wants us to do. Only one story, white are strong, black are not worthless. So we break this thing, we embrace individuality and the multiplicity of voice and self-representation without stereotype. And in black cinema, we don't think only in black context. We intersectionalize this feeling of being black with other aspects of society, to be a woman, to be in the LGBT community. So it's a place to build this identity. And because of this, we have specific aesthetic and cultural plurality. And I take this sentence from the book that I'm talking about with you, from Antonio. Black body is a context icon. Black body is an icon and represent, and we use this icon in the colonial way. You can build this feeling of identity and creativity. So I'm here explaining to you what is black cinema, but black cinema is not a pure form. I can't define black cinema because of this plurality, this constant movement of creating and creation, like new experience through generations. And because of this, we have a lot of political dimension in black cinema. Because black people are not as present in cinema production and in cinema television and cinema and television. Oh, hey. um, so as we don't are as much as presence in this contest. Most of the black cinema produced until today are short films. We don't have a lot of long films with made by black people because we don't have a lot of opportunities to reach a place to be a cinematographer with money and opportunity to produce and share these productions because I have this limited access to the interest. And because of that, I'm here to defend that we need more media democratization in Brazil to produce and to make more opportunity to Black people to produce cinema. Um, and and we can't depart the political path of the Black cinema because Black cinema, there is this root of critical thought and critical fight against this colonial, this seniors colonial way of think. And as the Black people guarantee their rights in Brazil, as we have a system of code, cota, how can I, cota, like or yeah, like in Brazil, yeah, we have free education. Our free education is the best of America Latina. I come from University of São Paulo, and in Brazil, we Black people don't have a lot of opportunity to access the higher education because of the poor education that Black people has. So we have the system that we separate a part of the spots in the university for Black people, and this begins recent. And because of this, we have a lot of young Black people going to cinema course. And because of this, they are making more cinema, learn about more cinema. So we are starting to move this perspective. So as I'm saying, we can depart the political talk, the political fight of 80 races to Black cinema. They are together. So the purpose of Black cinema is to prevent and ensure and silence. So to prevent, to silence these voices, these histories that are the majority of the Brazil, uh, and to assert existence and experience, the Black experience through cinema. So this is a way to counter narrative the colonial hegemony that all of us Brazilians are in. We always have a lot of structural racism that we are stuck in. And racism is particular in Brazil because of this process of colonization, and Black people need to share what they want in cinema. So to finish, I finish this part of what is Black cinema. Black cinema is a collective, not individualistic, and must resist the colonial idea that one person can speak uh, for all. Identity is multiple, non-binary, and cannot be reduced to a single social maker. And I took this part of the book that I'm talking about from Aguiar. I'm gonna read for you because I think this summary is what is Black cinema that I'm trying to explain to you all. It is therefore necessary to understand Brazilian Black cinema from an aesthetic perspective that highlights the diversity and cultural plurality of the Black population. So, as not to assume an essentialist position and regard Black experience as homogeneous, but rather to adopt a dialectical perspective. This experience in films should be analyzed through a relational process between communities and regions, in nature cultures, and across the forms of different that locate, situation, and position the Black population. And when you put some lens of semiotic on Brazilian black cinema, uh, we have this challenging colonial historiography. So we have this colonial historiography, as I'm saying, that was built on a binarity white colonial perspective that ignores other perspective, imposing a one true meaning of history. This erase the protagonists of indigenous and Afro-diasporic people, and this is what Muniz Sodré calls the semiosis of colonial power. So this is when you the when you have this semiosis of colonial power, we work in a only way to one perspective, to a binomial perspective and representative of ourselves. Even for white people, in white cinema, we can only be one type of thing. We cannot think out of our minds and through our individually. And with black cinema, we can recover. This means that semiotics allows us to recover means erasing by colonial narratives. When you put the lens of semiotics in the representation of black people in cinema, and specifically in black cinema, we can identify this indexation of black people representative in cinema. And as I'm said to you in the beginning, explain the history of Brazil and the Quilombo, this was important to understand that Quilombo didn't exist, do not existed in the colonial project. In the colonial project, they were not supposed to black people stand up for themselves and to fight for themselves. It was created by the intelligence of enslaved people who built a free community in Palmares. Palmares is a name of one of the quilombos in Brazil history, and history was later erased. Even target was 2,100 people for nearly a century. So this history was erased from book history. When I was a little kid and I was learn about uh, Brazilian history, they only said that black people were enslaved and someone took us free and was that. But not was the truth. When you have black cinema and have people talk to themselves, talk about her history, they bring back this Quilombo sentiment, this Quilombo idea, and represent in cinema, and represent in art to tell us these stories. So is what we call now our aquilobamento. Let's aquilombar our thoughts and reunite to be the part of these colonial things of not freedom. And this is a counter narrative and a counter history. So when black filmmakers take this control of enunciation, new discourse forms appear as counter discourse against colonial narratives, as I'm saying, and as a counter history against the single official history. The non-said becomes the voice of a hidden historic narrative. This is recoding cinema's culture codes because white institutional cinematic codes can be reformulated or recoded when subalternized filmmakers take control. When these filmmakers take control of the narrative, we have a recoding of the image of black people in your history and in your art. And semiotics reveal that resistance, dignity, freedom, community, spirituality, ancestrality, and counter-colonialism form a wide field of meaning emergent from these fields. So yeah, I think semiotics can help us to see this more deep. And now that we understand how specific is this code that is in black cinema and how meaningful and powerful, and this is still going on in Brazil. We still don't have a lot of black movies produced for black people in Brazil. They are famous. Brazilian cinema is going to the world right now, like you win an Oscar, and we have another movie going to this run of Oscar and these awards, these international awards that are important to cinema in general, but they still are all white movies. This is not a problem. We are doing baby steps. But I think this is a fight that we still are having in Brazil to people like me to be able to be a audiovisual production and to produce movies about our history. And this movie has to be seen, has to be screened. This is still a fight going on. And along this fighting is going on, we have the income of AI, and now I want to talk about the creative activity and cognitive process and what I think about AI, because I start all this research thinking about AI. And at the beginning, when I think about AI, I use Vygotsky, his essay book called "To Imagine." His books, his about cognitive process and the process of learn and the process of making art. And these books, he shows us two types of behavior, reproductive and a recursive behavior as human being. So when we are kids and we are learning, also we start to reproduce what our teachers or parents are saying. So, oh, the sky is blue, so we're gonna paint the sky of blue. Oh, the sun is yellow, so I'm gonna paint the sun as yellow. And the other reconstructive is when you took these signs and we recombine them to create another thing. So I don't know if I make the sun with the sky, I'm gonna make a rainbow and I'm gonna be a lot of colors. So this is the process. And this is I compare this process with ChatGPT because this is the way ChatGPT works. We put a lot of information there, a lot of information that we have and they have in the system, and they recombine this information to deliver us another thing in a recombination. And we have other type of behavior that is creative and combinatorial. So this is when the creative begins. And Vygotsky says the creativity begins with our experience stroke history in society. So when I'm in society living and I share a lot of my experience with one another, I will collect this information, and this information will be also recombined, and we will be made this combinatorial information, and something new will come from that. Something that wasn't being there before. But for this, I have to be previous experience. And I compare this to generative AI because, sorry to say that, but AI is creativity. In this poor of meaning, creativity activity is a recombination of experience to create something new. And generative AI is a beyond step of ChatGPT because we can create new images. The AI never have created this image before. If I put some some reference, they will recombine this material, and the output will be something that I never seen before, as our human do. So yeah. And we have this relationship between imagination and reality, and this is the difference between the cognitive process of AI and us, because our imagination is filled fit by reality, is filled fits on previous experience. As I'm saying, I have to live in a society, in a culture, with my own experience to be creation and to imagining realities, and this carries emotion. And Vygotsky says that is a law of emotion reality or common emotion sign, and this is a sign that don't have to be a logical interpretation to make sense to us. Like we know that like the color yellow make me feel hungry, and why? There's not a logical interpretation of this. This is a feeling of hunger of, oh, I have to eat a hamburger, and you know what hamburger I'm talking about because it's a emotional common emotion sign that is imbued into us through our living society. And this can materialize and transform the world. But with this in mind, this is what human does. AI can create, but it does not feel. It's impossible to create feels emotion. Until now, I don't know if there's new research about, but what I'm looking for, emotion is not, we don't have a way to simulate real emotions and in a logical way, but it's not logical for humans, so you see it's complicated. uh, so human creation is shaped by these emotions and history, and even without emotion, if I generate an image and AI, these images still can have impact in me. Because I am a human, I have this emotion. So if I generate a hateful image or a wasteful image, I can feel it. AI can feel it that is bad. If I tell, hey, this is bad, don't do this, the AI will, okay. But not because they are feeling sad or bad about they are doing. So this is the difference. Uh, okay, I'm gonna pass this because of the time. And in this um, research about AI that I will start to think about algorithmic cinema is a, a term that is new. Like there's not much research about algorithmic cinema, and I defend here that we are in a path that our cinema is going to be reshaped by algorithms. Is so audiovisual language will be mediated by computational codes. And this already has happened. We already have in society with CGI, and I bring there the example of this reconfiguration of relation of cinema with the Lion King. I don't know if you know the live action of Lion King. With Lion King was previously a cartoon, and you see these are cartoon, and they make this Lion King and they sell like a live action, but was one single live person in this movie. But people are getting emotional and say, "Oh, now you're gonna see Beyonce acting," but it's computer, it's codes. But you see that as a real thing. We connected to that. As I'm saying, the codes are reshaping our forms of cinema. This could be an animation, a cartoon for our professionals in audiovisual production. For the public, is reality. We are seeing lions speak, and this is amazing. I took this like Julio Plaza used the concept of intersemiotic translation. I'm not gonna go so deep in because I don't have time, but Julio Plaza defends that is a semioticist from Brazil, and he defends that the process of making art is a translation of a signs. You pick a conjunct of signs, and us as human being producing art translate this sign into another thing. And he used cinema of this example because at the beginning you have a script with write test, and this script becomes audiovisual output. This is a completely different type of science, and we, with our imagination, our cognitive process of creativity, we translate this sign into art. And I compare this with generative AI because AI do this. We put tests there, we make this and this, and make this image look more better, and the output is a new image. So how AI is doing this? So this is what I want to understand. Okay, let's go back to Afro-Brazilian cinema, and what I want to talk to you now to finish my presentation is about the recoding of Afro-Brazilian cinema through algorithmic cinema. Now we know what is black cinema in Brazil, when you know what is algorithmic cinema that I'm talking about. Let's go more deep in this. So, as I am saying, in Brazil, we have not establishment of Black people producing movies and audiovisual production. We have a lot of flaws, and don't have a lot of Black people in front of television. And now we are moving forward. We have um, a global television is a, how can I explain what is global? Is a channel, is an open channel, and not also an open channel of television in Brazil, but produce a lot of movies and series. We have also have the streaming global pay, and for you to have idea the huge impactation of global in Brazil society. Most people in Brazil have television and watch global, then people have telephone or access to internet. So global has a lot of impact on our culture. And for you have idea, the global pay, I think like 5 years ago was the most streaming signed by Brazilian, even more than Netflix. So Globo has a huge impact. But Globo has a majority of white productions and white actors, and this is a colonial legacy in the representation of Black people, or the not representation of. So there's this persistence of colonial semiotic structure in this political movement that Brazilian Black Brazilian are made small movies. They're not so much spread as the massive dominant media as global that spread a lot of movies with white people. And I bring a case here to study. And we have a lot of soap operas in Brazil. Soap operas in Brazil are really famous, and Globo is most famous to produce soap opera. This is a really specific narrative, audiovisual narrative of Brazilian. I have so proud of our soap operas. And we have now a soap opera called Vale Tudo. I don't know how can I translate Vale Tudo, worth it out. I don't know. It's like this mean like we can do anything to get money. This is the idea of the novel. And we have this protagonist, Raquel. And Raquel was a Black woman, Thais Araújo, a really famous actress. And to give some contents, this Vale Tudo is a remake from the other soap opera. I forget the period, but the first Raquel was a white woman. And this time, Manuela Diaz wants to reshape and put a Black woman in the narrative, in a Black family. This is her daughter. And was a good idea, and Globo is doing this movement of putting more Black women in the soap opera. There's a period that all the three soap opera that are alive was only with Black protagonists, but do you think, oh, this solve our problem? No, because again, this was a white woman write about a a Black perspective. And there's a lot of stereotypes in interpretation of Raquel, because in the first representation in Raquel in the older Vale Tudo, she was a poor lady, a white poor lady who was a fighter, was trying to get her money by honesty, and this is what the character of Raquel. She was a hard-working woman, wants to get honest money, and in this new version of Vale Tudo, Raquel also is like that. But in the end of the soap opera, Raquel, with through her honesty, start to get rich, start to get money, and to be, she was tough, she know how to handle bad situation and to wear this worth money. But in this new version, in the end of the soap opera, Raquel begs to be poor. So she was struggle all the soap opera to go through the good way to win money, but this white author make this idea to transform the history, to put this Black woman in a situation of poor again, because Black people don't have the right to have this narrative of success, of win through the good thing, because white productions in Brazil has this fetishization, I can say, of put Black people in their narratives only to see them suffer, to see them struggle, and they say, oh, I'm doing a political movement to put this Black lady in this role, but also I really like to see her suffering all the history. So I took this example to see you that how we have this colonial semiosis until now in our presentation, as the black bar as an icon represents for white people this stereotype means. And this is a very good recent example. Thais Araújo is such a good actor, and she point that she was not happy with this change in the script, and gossiping for you all, she's make a complaint about the white author Manuela Diaz, and because she point, oh, this is a little bit racist. But Globo was sent a note saying that Globo is very proud of the productions and Vale Tudo, so I don't know if this is going to some place, because white people has this pact to always protect themselves. So let's think about that too in other opportunity. And this is an ongoing challenge. Mainstream media reproduces this colonial narrative, and we need the colonial representation, and Black creators must put for justice, innovation, and authenticity, as Thais Araújo are doing as a great artist that she is. And when you put, we are in this fight of recodification, this decolonial thing of Black representation in cinema, in television, in audiovisual production in Brazil, made by humans. What could happen when you put algorithm in this? As I'm saying before, algorithm is already reshaping the forms that we see cinema. And here I bring the concept of algorithmic races, and this is a concept bring by Tarcísio Silva in his book. This is a free translation: Algorithmic Races, Artificial Intelligence and Discrimination in Digital Networks. And in these books, he explained that algorithmic racism is a form of racial discrimination perpetuated through the algorithmic logics of information technologies that reinforce prejudiced ideas and behaviors already present in the social fabric. What this means is that if you think about AI and who is control AI is big corporation ruled by big white men with a lot of big white money. And AI often is, when you think about technology, we have this wrong way of thought that technology is a part of the human perspective. Is we can see like how people behave on the internet. They behave like there's no land, and they can do anything because they don't have face. You have this recodification of the perspective of being digital. uh, and we have this thought to think that our experience, human experience, is a part of this, but this is a lie, because I have to put information in my code, and the information is put by a human. And if I am a white human who don't have to relation to Black people in our history, and don't are in the colonial way of thought, I will put racism in my code. This is a possibility. And I took this example in Brazil, that is a couple of news about the use of body-worn cameras by policemen in Brazil, and with facial recognition AI in public security. So they put some cameras in the streets and to recognize criminals, and this actionate alarming the police, and they go after this person. But imagine what happens. Disproportionate surveillance of Black people in marginalized areas, because they put this only in areas of Black people predominance, and a high rate of false positive. Most alert from facial recognition system target Black individuals. So this was a surveillance as a new form of racial control. I can say necropolitic algorithmic. Anna explained necropolitic in her presentation, so go watch her presentation to understand more what is necropolitic. But I can summarize saying that is a way to choose who will die and who will survive, and who will die is majority Black people in Brazil. And this algorithmic and this AI recognition was only target Black people, because in this code it was, oh, if it's Black, it's danger, as we are speaking about this indexation of the relation of Black body in society. But I'm also here to bring bad news. I'm not anti-AI at all. I only want to understand, because I think this is here to stay, and you have to understand how to use this tool. So I'm bring here to talk to you all about the colonial racist use of generative AI. And I bring this artist, this is a visual artist from Brazil, a Black visual artist from Brazil called Mayara Ferrão. And she used AI to recreate images of Black and indigenous people and LGBTQ women in the past, because this is other topic to talk about. But in Brazil, Black people, as you can relate to the to presentation don't have the right to represent, the right to memory. We are erased as like white people in Brazil know, like, oh, my mom come from Italy, my mom come from German. Black people, we don't know where we're from because we are our ancestrality was slaved and was kidnapping from our place of birth. So we don't know nothing. We don't know, and people don't have the use to register black people in the past. So these actors think about this. She used AI to recreate this image. So she used AI to reimaginate, erase black indigenous history. So she transformed colonial public domain imagens, this is important, she used public domain imagens, into affectionate, humanized scenes to relate in such a beautiful image that you say that. So she combines historical research plus AI prompt and analog intervention in the process of her work. So it's not only, oh, generate a black image for me of two women kissing. It's not like this. She do a really art process. She use AI as a tool, not the final result. And she, in this interview that she gave to Amanda Lorenzo, she emphasized ethical, ancestry-centered use of generative AI. You have to be able to recognize what type of codes we are input in this generative AI and how AI is given into me, and I have to be able to help coding this image to my history, the way I want to be present. And this is a summary to finish my presentation about this. As I said, is a work in progress research. And here, if you have a talk about everything that I said, so let's go back a little. So we know that AI trained on predominantly white vision data sets, because who is in power of this AI that we use for free is big corporations led by white people. And in these codes, we have a lot of reproduction of stereotypes and exoticization of black bodies. And this is a risk of reinforcing colonial narratives in audiovisual media. This is what I am to point out. We have to take care about this too. And this could lead us to a repetition of a hegemonical visual pattern. As I'm saying before, we are yet fight to representation of black bodies in black cinema and audiovisual production. We don't win this fight. We are the majority of population, but when you turn on TV, I don't see myself enough. So with this in mind, we have to think how put generative AI and this production could facilitate this colonial way of representation of Brazilians. And this is a tool with transformative narrative potential, as I showed to you. This could be really powerful to reshape our history, reshape how we are seen. This is a democratic way of making cinema. When I did this presentation in Brazil before, and I met other researcher that was researching generative AI, and she found organization, a free organization in Brazil that gives classes to black people in periphery to how to make cinema. But to make cinema is expensive in Brazil. They don't have cameras and nothing, so they start to use AI to teach them to make cinema. So they are telling the histories as periphery bodies using AI. So this is so powerful. And this is a threat. AI, generative AI could be a threat or ally to self-identity narratives of black diaspora. These models compress plurality into homogeneous types if you think about AI. And when we are doing this, the colonial way of making cinema using AI, we have to ensure of regional, cultural, and historic difference are imbued in the code and what you are type and what you are generate. And this is we have to be aware of this. So this is a this is some critical pathways about AI, Black cinema, and I think you have to do intentional data set creation, and you have to collaborative development with Black creators. So it's not important to be know about the information, but to put Black people in the protagonist of the production too. And this is a methodology this that I'm presenting of aesthetic and political resistance in audiovisual production. And that's it. For me, AI is a tool, not a replacement for cultural perspectives.
Thank you so much, Via, for this presentation. It was really important, and I have shared that change the perspective of a lot of people here. It's important to just not have like people, Black people in the productions, but that people in behind the productions too. And you said that it's really important to change that. So thank you. And I want to know if someone here have a question or something like that. You have okay.
I want to thank you very much for this wonderful presentation. I learned a lot from it, and I'm very happy to have all these new resources to read. I'm curious about your opinion on Mayra Ferrand, because, well, I guess I have two kind of possible points of contention that I want to ask you about. So she's using, I think it's a really wonderful intention to use AI to recreate these historical images. How do you feel though about the fact that they're like, so I don't know if this is true, but it like, they're not really like real Black people being used in this. So we're not using real Black people as the subject. And also, what about the possibility that this could possibly be plagiarizing off of artists' work in the dataset curation? Now, I don't think this is her intention at all. I think I completely I think it's a very cool thing, but I'm wondering about how maybe, like, since it's not real Black people being used, how you might think about that as well as the possible Black artist plagiarism.
Okay, thank you for asking. For me, as I'm saying before, first I defend that we have a recodification of our relation through cinema and art visual with AI. As I said, like in The Lion King, people are saying this is a live action. People are connecting to this lion. They are talking, and Beyonce was singing. People are really being touched by this. And when Maya Ferran do this image, this part a good feeling in us as Black women because we see represent in a way that we never been. And in this context that I talk to you now, that in Brazil we don't have enough opportunity to Black people to produce audiovisual production, this is a really powerful tool to reshape the reproduction of Black people. And it's important to note, as I said, that Mayara Ferran only use colonial public demand images. She don't take our job from nobody.
I missed that. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So I think this is important to consider it when you use AI to be sure that we are not stealing art for nobody, that we're doing our own art with assistance of a tool. In the other presentation that I did in Brazil, I compared it to this Manovich test about the recombinatory of the code of the relation we have to images. I forget the name of the essay, but I remember the content. And he says like when Photoshop come out, we have to pick a lot of patterns of art and codes, like this type of texture, this type of color, this type of movement that I want to represent was coding. So if you, I can show you an image that he opened the Photoshop and showed to us a lot of the coding. And this was in 2001, and he said, in the future, this is going to reshape our relation to the visual art, because we are coding everything. So I think in this way.
Okay, thank you very much. You've answered that question very well.
Okay. Anyone have more questions? Okay.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
It was really
Rich
in
in information.
information. So I think we all learned a lot about Afro-Brazilian cinema.
And
Yeah,
when
when
I
I
visited
to Brazil
this
this
summer,
summer
Mia took me to
to
Afro-Brazilian museum, so that
that
was great.
great.
You know, I
I
could learn more not only about the culture, but about your own research on the AI cinema. And I guess I have two questions. First would be more about what you called at the beginning about how history courses are taught in Brazil. And so from semiotic or narratological perspective, I would like to ask, what do you think is like why or how is it that we learn more from a narrative, from a movie than we learn from a history textbook? How would you explain this?
I think I can go back to Vygotsky again when he explained how we learn the creative process of this experience. And I think in this context in Brazil, specifically, the history was erased for purpose, like the quilombos and Black history was not taught on in school by purpose because of this colonial way of thought of white people that erase our history. But think about this why I can learn more in with a movie than a textbook, and I'm gonna give a personal answer because I'm so passionate about cinema and I think I can relate so well. And Bell Hooks says once in her book about is cinema vivo in Portuguese, I think is like cinema in English. She said like cinema is a discourse that you can stop. We have to watch entirely. You have to watch the full movie to understand the message, and you have to be passionate about it, relate to it. So you have to sit and watch the whole movie, and we don't have the right to I want to raise my hand. I don't agree with this, or I don't want to listen what say. You have to watch. This is the way movie relate to us. And she said in this book, it's important. It's a book about Black representation. That it's important to analyze Black representation in cinema because of that. Because this influence impacted much more our culture than other types of discourse, as in history books.
Thank you. And then the second question is more about the artificial intelligence. I find it like interesting how you define creativity and that definition is satisfied by the creative AI. And I think that you are right, like creativity is about recombining things that we already know from our previous experience. But like I do have this biosemiotic
Definition in what it differs. So you said the difference between human and AI.
creativity would be in that the humans are more aware of emotions that we are getting from the result, but there might be more differences. And so what I know from biosemiotic perspective would be that actually there is a limitation to the amount of the input that we take as humans because it's incomparably smaller input of data that we can like biologically like contain in our brain or in our memory, while the AI models they contain like a huge amount of data. And whether would you agree with this that by this very paradox that the more data we have, the less creative we are, and the less options we have to combine lead to like more creative processes.
Oh, I totally agree with you. Well, at the beginning of research, I was in this direction too, and I think this make really, really sense. Like, and if you think about the AI and how AI works, as because it's a machine, and it's like spends a lot of water and research, and it's really impossible to maintain this to a long time, to a long period, if you want to put all of the knowledge of the world in this, and because you have this entropy idea is like is a physical idea that if I spend energy in something, I'm gonna lose other something. So I think in this biological biosemiotic sense make really sense. Is something that I believe too. And thank you for sharing this because I probably will put with my research too.
Oh, perfect. So I can then give you some recommendations.
Please. Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Anyone have
Any
any
question?
question? Okay.
But this is just because you said you were But you are really passionate about cinema.
Yeah.
No, you know this movie, how do you say in Portuguese? Cidade de...
Cidade de Deus. Oh, yeah.
From this perspective of black cinema and this colonial semiosis, or just decoloniality in general, what can you comment again?
Oh, this is a controversial movie for black productions in Brazil. It's really controversial because it's really famous around the world. Like when I'm here, like out of my country, I said, "Oh, I like to start cinema." Oh, Cidade de Deus. They're like, "Huh?" Because there's some of colonial way of thought in this movie because the black representation is again the stereotyping way of violence, bodies, black people being violent, being poor and not perseverant. These things is in the movie, but it's not a bad movie, and I don't like to see. This is controversial that I'm saying now. I don't like to see a movie only in a political way, like on a utilitarily way. Like this movie functions for this. Sometimes a movie is a movie to watch and only have fun, even if they are colonizing my mind. So I think the question here, the thing is here is to watch this movie with this decolonial thought. Like this is a good movie, mice, but have problems. This is what I think. Like it's a controversial movie.
Yeah. So there is this idea that for every colonial concept, you can have like the other side.
Yeah.
So and decolonization does becomes important. So do you think there could be some kind of decolonial reading of?
Oh,
So
definitely.
we tend to strive towards something.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I think we can decolonize this movie, make a semiotic read of it to make it more understandable. I think maybe I have read some works about this, some tests. I have some Brazilian critics that are friends of mine. They're black and they have a lot of opinion of this. And I think this is definitely is a thing that we can do.
Okay. So thank you. Anyone here have
Any questions? And I think in the group, in the chat, anyone have like you have a lot of compliments.
Oh, thank you, everybody.
You're saying that the presentation was amazing, and yes, I think it was all for the presentation of Bia, and we'll pass the word to Julia Neres. She will present her research. I will turn off this live and I will start another one in YouTube.
Yeah, people from YouTube move to the other because Julia is brilliant. Her work is amazing.
So yes, I will talk a little bit
Okay.
about Julia now.
But maybe it's better in the other to make it to be in the.
Okay. So just
So thank you, everybody. See you.
aqui, né, amiga? Hã? O negócio aqui? Isso. Oh.